Hello, my beautiful people. This is Mindfulness, Meditation, and Manifesting with Jenna Allen. If you'd like a more thorough description of the course and introduction to myself, then check out video 1. There are also other intro videos for me and my programs as well. All right, so for today, this is the third class, and we will be focusing today on the habits of mind and the hindrances that stop us from being present, from really being present. But first, I want you to stop and ask yourself, how is my practice going? Are you meditating the number of days every week that you would like to be? Are you being gentle with yourself on those parameters that you've set? Are you being perfectionistic about it and saying, I have to get 7 out of 7 days? Ask yourself which meditations you've been doing, which ones you like, which ones you've been doing. Are you varying it up at all? Are you just sticking to one? And then how can you improve your practice? There are a number of ideas at the bottom of the worksheet that accompanies each class. So you can look down at that list and you can see, okay, what is the one thing this week I want to do to strengthen my practice, right? So what we want to do is normalize the range of possible experiences that you would have in starting a meditation practice. And that means that everyone is going to have a different experience with this. Some people will find it hard. Some people will find it easy. Some people will find that they need to stick to one type of meditation. Others will find that they need to vary it up more and that they're seeking more variety in their meditation practice. Some people will find that they can do 2 minutes a day. Some will find that they can do 30 seconds a day. And others will find that a more lengthy 15 or 20-minute meditation is a good place to start for them. And those who are very practiced in meditation, they may start with a longer meditation. Our goal is to eventually get up to 45 minutes of mindfulness meditation each day. Our first goal window, though, is 20 minutes. So we're just getting ourselves to that 20 minutes, and then we'll build from there, okay? So remember that you do want to do your mindfulness practice at the same place, at the same time every day. This way you are programming the subconscious mind that when you sit in that space, that's a space of peace for you. That's a space where then you've programmed your mind kind of like Pavlov's dogs, that, every time you sit there, there is this connection to your inner being that's a little bit different than when you sit anywhere else. We want to be removing distractions to an extent, but having distractions around you is actually better practice for your practice. It will help you to learn how to really focus in a little bit better if you do have distractions around you and you're training yourself to focus inward with those distractions happening. For some people, we have to do it first thing in the morning, otherwise it's not going to be done. And that's me, raising hand over here. If I don't do my mindfulness meditation practice in the morning when I wake up, I will just get busy throughout the day and tell myself, I don't have time now. And finally, we need to remember to assess any emotional blocks that we might have to self-care, to taking care of ourselves. And if we do, we might want to address those in some sort of way, whether that is, addressing them ourselves and, journaling or meditating on that or whatever. Or maybe we need to reach out and get some help through a life coach, such as myself, or a therapist or someone like that who can help us figure that out for ourselves and move into a space of genuine self-care a little bit more easily. All right. And on that note, we want to look at the different ways that we can commit to ourselves through this practice. Accountability is one way. If you are being accountable, maybe you're sharing what you've committed to or sharing what helps you to be inspired for this practice. A lot of my clients will share with one buddy, or maybe they'll do this even with a group, but they'll share with one buddy and they'll say, you know what, this is how many times a week I want to do this, and I want to do it for the next 21 days or whatever that is. This is the meditation that I want to practice this week, or whatever details you want to give. And that can help us to stay motivated, because we have to now report to someone that we didn't do it when we didn't do it, and that doesn't feel great, right? And just know that I am here doing this with you. I slip off of my practice, even though I've been doing it for 5 years or so at the time of this recording. I'm here. I'm doing it with you. Even the monks in the Buddhist temple that I attended talked about the challenges of keeping their practice going, and they've been doing this since they were 11 years old for hours a day, and they struggle to keep their practice going now that they've moved into this Western life and lifestyle that they're in. So we're all in this together, and don't forget that. Your practice is not always going to be fun. And sometimes it's going to be boring or outright unpleasant, and that's normal. That's to be expected. And you will receive the benefits of the practice even if it doesn't feel great while you're doing it. You will still get the benefits. And it's like exercise or working out. Your results will begin to generalize to other areas of your life, and that's where you'll find the inspiration. Once you're doing this on a regular basis, you're doing 15 to 20 minutes 3 or 4 times a week or more, then you're going to find that these results start to generalize a little bit more. And if that's not happening for you, maybe you need to increase your practice to 4 days a week or 5 days a week then. And again, that will inspire you to continue your practice. We will explore different types of mindfulness meditation. There's mindfulness of walking, mindfulness of sound, and different techniques will be better for some than it is for others. For example, focusing on the breath might be hard for someone who has severe asthma, or they feel their anxiety in their chest, or they've had a near drowning experience. So on your sheet, if you're following along with that, it will say different types of mindfulness practices might be a better fit for me. There are many to explore, and we're going to explore a lot of them throughout this class. So there's a difference between purposes of meditation and side effects of meditation. Our purpose is to be purposeless for a few months, breaking up the go, go, go of life and recognizing and accepting what is in a new way, giving space to it, right? That's on your sheet as well. The purpose is to be purposeless for a few moments, right? Also on your sheet, it talks about signaling faith. When we sit down to meditate, we are signaling our faith, I will have time to get to whatever needs to be done. I trust I'll be given that time. I need to answer emails, put that thing in my Amazon cart, fold the laundry pile on the couch, whatever that is, right? Another one that's on your sheet says, being still for some time each day signals my faith that I will be gifted the resource of time to get done what needs to be done. Being still, right? There's a flip side to the problem of doing all day and being in that mode. And that's, some people, like my retired clients and others, they will report that they have increased boredom now that they're not doing anything. And, I go over with them assessing their need to have a purpose constantly. And this teaches us, this mindfulness practice, when we just sit and allow ourselves to just be, it teaches us that just being is our purpose, right? And I explained it to someone recently and said, I am the great I am. And when I meditate and do nothing, I connect to that energy and we raise the vibrations of those around us. It is actually, there are scientific studies done where groups of people meditating in a certain area actually cause or contribute to a reduction in crime in that area, in the vicinity of that group of meditators. It's the same as the studies that show that patients being prayed for get better faster than patients who are not receiving prayer, right? So the purpose of meditation is not relaxation. It's not. A lot of times the opposite is actually true. There may be more stress to start a meditation routine at first. It could make you more aware of pain and emotions that have been hiding under the surface. We have to remember that the only way out of these things is through. And we've been ignoring them all of our lives, and they're causing us mental illness, they're causing us physical illness, they're causing discomfort in ways that we have no idea. And that's why mindfulness practice is so profound, because as you get comfortable with these aspects of yourself and looking under the surface and seeing what's there and just being able to feel through it, you give yourself the confidence to do so, and that stuff stops bothering us. We stop being so anxious about this or that because we faced our feelings about this other thing. And you'll, like I said, that generalized effect, you'll feel a ripple effect of sitting down with your beingness, all of your beingness, the light and dark, the gain and pain, and the joy and the loss, and all of the things, right? The shadow side of ourselves and the light that we bring to the world, right? So many times the opposite is true. Our practice is not for relaxation. It's also not about stress relief. It's not about relieving our stress. It's again about being with all the aspects of ourselves and allowing ourselves the space to expand into who we really are, allowing ourselves all the space that we need to take up all that space with our positive, our negative, our all of the things, right? I should say, quote, negative, because none of it is negative. But we will find that being really present with everything that's inside of us, that the negative, quote, stuff does begin to shrink because we start disentangling the self from the problems and thoughts and all of that stuff. We're going to learn about that as we come. But we're disentangling and we're becoming the observer rather than being caught up in all of that. So on your sheet, it will say, although the purpose of mindfulness is not relaxation, stress, or pain relief, to escape the emotions, Being really present with everything that is means the negative experiences and sensations do begin to shrink as we disentangle ourselves and become the observer of them, right? It's not to escape the emotions and all of that, but they do begin to shrink when we disentangle ourselves in those ways. I'll read you a little bit of a poem. Let's see. I want to remember who this is by, and it's not in my notes right now. I'll have to put it in the recording notes. Okay, so enough. Enough. These few words are enough. If not these words, this breath. If not this breath, this sitting here. This opening to the life we have refused again and again until now. Until now. What does that feel like to you? What does that mean to you? Opening to the life we have refused again and again. We refuse to look at our emotions or feel through things. We don't even realize that we're resisting those things until we sit down in meditation and we see them and we open to them and we say, oh, that's there. Oh, wow, that's impacting this and this. I'm glad I sat here and looked at this. Because now it won't impact this and this and this, or we'll be aware when it is, and we'll be able to empower ourselves to change it, right? So opening to the life we have refused again and again. All right, we talked a little bit about creating space. If my computer will catch up with me for a second. On your sheet it says, in creating space to notice what is actually happening, we are creating space for kind observation instead of observing as a harsh critic or feeling as if we are locked in a struggle to change things, right? We're creating a different relationship to our lived experience. We're saying, oh, okay, I can live this experience. I don't have to ignore this or that. We're creating a new relationship with it, right? And again, not striving to relax and allowing things to be just as they are. When you are in struggle with something, you are resisting the way someone's communicating, the government and what it's doing, the illness or the, whatever it is. If you're struggling with it, then you are shouting no at it. And I teach in my Law of Attraction is Bullshit class that whether you are shouting yes or no at something, the universe just sees and knows that your attention is upon this thing, so you must want it. An example is when you are driving down the street and you are late for an appointment or work or something, and you're like, oh my God, green lights, give me the green lights. I need a green light. Don't give me red lights. No red, no red, no red. Well, guess what? You're going to get red because your emotions and inner being are more focused on what you do not want, on the red, and saying no red, no red. Even if you were thinking and saying, give me green, but your emotions on the inside were saying no red, don't be late. Well, guess what? You're getting red. You're going to be late because you're shouting at it internally, right? That's where you're struggling with it. Creating space is about showing up for ourselves, right? Maybe you're noticing now that you're 3 courses into this, or 3 classes into this course, how much you don't show up for you. Or maybe you're noticing how willing you are to show up for yourself and gift yourself this time and this space. Those are resources, right? The resource of time and space. It really is magical what we can do and what we can have and what we can create when we are gifting ourselves in this generous way, gifting ourselves generously. When that becomes a regular habit, we can shift into a new space of creation, right? And again, creating space means we aren't striving for something, right? We aren't striving to be anywhere, to get something, to do something. We're not even striving to relax. We're not even striving to relax, because that would mean we're striving to reach a particular state that we don't already have, right? And if we're striving to reach a particular state we don't already have, then we're actually fighting against the state that we do have. Right? If we're reaching for something else, well, then really internally we're saying no to this right here. We're wanting something else, right? So it's very important to be focused on right here, right now, this moment, and that will enhance your ability to manifest and attract and create what it is that you do want. This is like this is like when you lose the remote control, and you're looking and you can't find it, and your focus is on it's lost, I can't find it. Well, as soon as you stop looking for the remote and you do something else, whatever, you find it shows up, right? And that's because you're no longer fighting against it being lost, and now your energy can open up to it being found, right? So mindfulness is not about getting where I'm not. It's about being where I am. And so we're going to go into hindrances now. We can further allow things to be what they are when we know what to expect that might hinder us. When we know what might hinder us, then we can allow things to be what they are even more, right? At an increased rate, increase our ability to do that. So, you know how there's all these articles that have popped up all over the place? It's 5 ways to best clean your carpet, 7 steps to manifest your best life now. All of those things. Turns out that Buddha was doing this 3,000 years ago. He loves lists. And he had lots of little things, just like this list that we're going to go over right now. The 5 hindrances, right? So number 1 is, or something to know about the hindrances. We call them that because they obscure or cloud our ability to see the mind as it really is. They obscure or cloud our mind, our ability to see our mind for what it really is. So we might not be able to see the mind for what it is when we are sleepy, when it's our emotions are coming in and affecting things that we don't even realize, right? So let's go over some of these. All right, so the first one, and by the way, the reason why these 5 hindrances are still on the list of things that people study in mindfulness 3,000 years later is because practitioners of mindfulness have struggled with these same obstacles for more than 2,000 years, right? Okay, so wanting and desire, right? Wanting and desire goes back to what we were just talking about, where if I'm wanting to have green lights, or if I'm wanting to find the remote, that's going to be a hindrance to being right here, right now, in this moment, because I'm focused on wanting that other thing that's over there, right? Our desires can actually cause us to not manifest things, or have trouble or struggle manifesting things. The other one is the opposite of that, the other side of that coin, not wanting or aversion, right? That's what we were just talking about, right? Restlessness or worry is also one that can impact our ability to see what the mind really is doing, right? Sleepiness, we already mentioned that one. Lethargy is another word for that, lethargic. And doubt and resistance are another one. So these are all on your sheet. The 5 hindrances obscure or cloud our ability to see the mind as it really is. And they are these that are on your screen: wanting and desire, not wanting and aversion, restlessness and worry, sleepiness and lethargy, doubt and resistance. Okay. I believe there's something on your sheet that says, my new self-empowerment opportunity this week is to label my thoughts with these categories here, with these hindrances. And you can add in 2 more additional ones: rehashing and rehearsing, right? You can say, oh, my mind is in a space of wanting, or my mind is in a space of doubting or resistance. I'm saying, my mind is saying, I don't want to do this stupid meditation right now, right? That resistance, right? The doubt says, meditation isn't working for me. I've been doing this for this amount of time, or whatever. That's doubt and resistance, right? Rehashing, rehearsing. We talked about that before. Our mind is always rehashing the past, which can lead to depression, or rehearsing the future, which can lead to anxiety, right? And the opposite of doubt, really something to know and something to, a huge concept in mindfulness, is curiosity. If we shift into a space of curiosity, even about the doubt and resistance, wow, there's a lot of resistance here, right? I'm curious, like, what that feels like in my body, or I'm curious about this resistance and how often it's impacting me, right? So yeah, let's see what's next for us. The habits of mind. And we just talked about rehearsing, rehashing. Those are habits of our mind. And when we start to observe the mind, which is the point of mindfulness, is not to clear the mind. It's not to, sit in silence or relax or be still. It's to observe the mind. And when we do that, we can see the habits that our minds get in. We're frequently rehashing, rehearsing what's already happened. We hardly pay attention to the moment that we're in, this moment, the moment in which we're actually alive, right? And so start noticing, as much as you can, what the mind is doing. Just starting to notice what the mind is doing, right? And noticing with as much kindness and without judgment that you possibly can, right? And again, that rehearsing mode is planning what's to come, worrying about what might go wrong, right? And that means we're more likely to experience tension and anxiety symptoms. We're in rehashing mode. We're replaying how that conversation went south, what I might have said instead, and all of that. And then we're more likely to experience depressive symptoms. And that's actual science. Science has shown that when people are rehashing, they're more likely to develop those kind of symptoms like that. Okay. And so that includes planning, fantasizing, worrying. All those things are rehashing and rehearsing. All of these habits of mind, planning, rehearsing, worrying, fantasizing, all of those can be seductive, right? We do think with our thoughts, after all, but we can easily fall into the mind's trap, which is an over-identification with our thoughts. Over-identifying with our thoughts, or it's called cognitive fusion in science. And that is the way that the mind tricks us into believing that our thoughts are actually facts. Our habits of mind can be, that's on your sheet, by the way. Our habits of mind can be seductive, making us believe that thoughts are actually facts, a phenomenon called cognitive fusion. Storytelling is the way that we tell ourselves a lot of things. We tell ourselves that, oh, if they didn't text or call me back, they must be mad at me. Right? With storytelling, maybe the story is true, maybe it's not, but it doesn't matter. We're still storytelling. We often tell ourselves that happiness is in the future. I'll be happy when, I'll be happy if, right? I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll be happy if I can drop, this habit or that habit, right? Someone with depression might tell themselves the story, I am worthless. Someone in substance abuse treatment might tell themselves, I'm going to die if I don't get another hit soon, right? On your sheet, it says, our mindfulness practice supports us in letting go of our thoughts. We see the thoughts simply as thoughts. That's it. And we can attach to the thoughts less. We can believe them less when we recognize them as just thoughts. Just a thought, right? That thought that so-and-so, is mad at me, or so-and-so is wrong, or I am right. All stories, right? It's just recognizing them like, oh, there's a thought, right? We are changing our relationship to thought. That's what mindfulness is all about. Being able to not be in the thought, but being able to have a different relationship to the thought and say, oh, that's a thought, silly mind, right? And we said last time, with kindness and without judgment, as much as we can muster, right? That kindness and without judgment means we say, silly mind doing that thing I always do, rather than, oh my God, there I go again, thinking blah, blah, blah. That's judgment. That's harsh. That's mean. We want to be kind and non-judgmental toward ourselves, because when we are, we can convey that to the people around us. And if we're being harsh and judgmental within, we're not going to be able to be as open and receptive to those people around us. And non-judgmental, right? Observing the habits of the mind brings us to the creation of wholesome or good habits that we want to incorporate with our practice. And today we're going to do mindfulness of breathing. And one good habit with mindfulness of breath, or any kind of practice, mindfulness practice that you're doing, is posture. It has to do with posture. Let's take a look at the rest of these. Posture is important for our mindfulness practice because the body will start to associate a certain posture with our meditation, and that will make it easier to transition into meditation. Right? Getting into a certain posture evokes you want to get into a certain posture that evokes a sense of dignity and ease. You want to be upright, but you don't want to be rigid, right? And this, just like we said, sitting in the same place at the same time every day, this is stimulus control, like Pavlov's dogs, right? We're using posture instead of a bell. Pavlov rung a bell every time he presented them with steak, and eventually he would just ring the bell and they would salivate, right? And so this is what we're doing. We're ringing that bell and bringing that sense of self-awareness, self-connection back in as we get into that posture, right? And it doesn't have to be a challenging posture. You don't have to sit in meditation in a yoga pose with your legs all crossed on top of each other, right? But just something comfortable, right? And I like to do something that's a little bit different. So where I would always normally sit. So what I do is I put a little pillow or meditation cushion at the base of my bed, and I'll sit there, right? I would normally not really usually sit there, or the side of my bed or something. So that it's a little bit different than other places. And when I am stressed and I do find myself needing to meditate and kind of go within, when I sit in that space, because I've done it so many times, I immediately just am brought to the slowness and the maybe not relaxation, maybe my mind is still going, but I'm brought to this place of bravery to go within, and faith and trust that I can face whatever is in front of me. That's the bell and the saliva right there, just like Pavlov's dogs, right? So on your sheet it says, after repeatedly pairing posture to our meditation practice, posture alone will bring a sense of ease. All right. Mindfulness of breathing is simply attending to the breath with our kind attention, moment by moment, right? Moment by moment. We don't want to manipulate the breath. What does that mean? We don't have to breathe deeply or in any particular way. We're not manipulating the breath or any other part of our experience. So, we don't want to, we do enough controlling and manipulating in the world, reaching out to find out what somebody thinks or needs, or, manipulating this or that in this relationship or in this project or whatever. We manipulate things, not in a negative sense of the word of, that person's manipulative, but we are constantly trying to control the things outside of us, and that is to manipulate them, right? So we're not manipulating the breath or any other part of our experience through this. But you might find that just by paying attention to the breath, that it naturally slows and deepens, because that's the body's response to sitting, to calming down, right? It activates the parasympathetic nervous system. But there's no need to do that purposefully, not, slowing the breath purposefully. We just notice the breath exactly as it is, without judgment, without any judgment, right? Well, we're going to go back on that one. Okay. In mindfulness of breathing, on your sheet, that's what it says. It says, in mindfulness of breathing, there's no need to manipulate the breath in any way. Just notice the breath exactly how it is, without judgment. Without judgment. Okay. We are not thinking about the process of breathing, how oxygen binds to hemoglobin and travels through the body, right? That's thinking. We're not picturing the lungs filling and whatever. We're not doing imagery. We are feeling, we are sensing the breath as it moves in and out of the body. We feel the chest moving. We feel air flowing in and out of the nostrils. It has a certain temperature on the way in and the way out, right? So on your sheet it says, thinking about the breath is different from sensing the breath. Thinking is different from sensing. The breath is a direct sensory link to being alive right here in this moment. It's an embodiment practice. It brings us into our body. Actually, I don't really care for the word mindfulness, because it conveys a sense of focusing on the mind, but really we're taking it into the body, right? And so that breath is our sensory link, and it's something that we always have with us, right? Noticing the sensations of the breath in the body will help us bring ourselves into the present moment, right? And the actual placement of attention is not as important as using that same place consistently as a sense anchor for that practice on that day. So let's talk about that. You can focus on the place in your body that's easiest to sense, or that's the most pleasant for you. For some, that's noticing the breath in the chest as it rises and falls. Others, they notice it more or feel more pleasant when they notice the breath in the belly, or maybe in the nostrils or the back of the throat, right? And so you want to pick one of those to focus on and stick with it for the majority of your practice. You will start your practice and maybe you will choose to focus on the chest. You want to keep focusing on the chest that whole time, unless that becomes, for some reason uncomfortable for you, and then you may switch to the nostrils or something. But for the most part, you want to just choose one singular focus and place your attention there consistently as an anchor. That's an anchor to keep your attention there, right? So there's going to be just 2 instructions that we're doing. In mindfulness of breathing, we're only doing one of 2 things. We're being aware of the sensations of breathing right in this moment, right? That's number 1. Or we're noticing that our mind's drifted away. And then we're redirecting ourselves back to the breath again, right? So one of 2 things, right? Awareness of the sensations of breath, or noticing our mind has wandered. It's that simple. Sensing the breath, noticing our attention elsewhere, bringing it back without judgment. That's the part that gets tricky, right? I will judge myself and I'm like, oh, Jenna, you're not supposed to be thinking. You're supposed to be meditating, right? No, we don't want to go there. We don't want to judge ourselves. That's harsh, right? So it's breathing in the knowing of it, mind wandering in the knowing of it, right? I'm going to say that again. Breathing in the knowing of it, mind wandering in the knowing of it, right? And you will notice that your mind wanders constantly, 1,000 times a minute. It's what minds do. It's what they're supposed to do. So we want to gently, with loving kindness, come back to the breath over and over again. And the kind of attitude, we talked about judgment, right? The kind of attitude you bring to the practice is essential. Our minds will wander. That's what they do. The brain produces thoughts like the mouth produces saliva, right? And so we have to train our attention a bit like a beloved puppy or an adorable toddler. They wander all over the place, but it's just their nature, right? And so we just bring our steady, consistent, kind attention to the practice as we would a toddler or a puppy, right? So on your sheet it says, each time we notice the mind has wandered away, this is the moment. I want you to put that in capitals. This is the moment of mindfulness, a moment of doing it just right. And we kindly turn our attention back to the breath. When you are thinking, when you say, oh, shoot, I'm thinking, then you've done it. That's when you've done mindfulness, not when you're focusing on the breath, focusing on the breath, focusing on the breath. Really, the part that is mindful is to say, oh, there's thought happening, right? And so that's the moment that you should cheer yourself and say, I did it. I noticed that I was thinking. That is the whole goal, right? Okay, so we're going to put this into practice and do a mindfulness of breathing, mindful breathing practice or exercise, right? So go ahead and put everything down and take a moment to find a dignified and upright posture with both of your feet flat on the floor, allowing the eyes to close gently, or soften your gaze down to the floor if that feels right for you. Checking in for just a moment with the sensations of the body. With what emotions are present in this moment. And noticing as best you can what your mind is doing. And letting that all be just as it is. Letting yourself be just as you are. And as best you can, taking your awareness into the body to notice the sensations of the breath. If it's helpful, take 2 or 3 breaths that are just a bit deeper than you would normally take, just to help you sense that place in the body where you feel your breath the most. Or maybe that place you feel the breath is most pleasant. Could be the chest, the belly, the nostrils, the throat. And then completely letting go of your control of the breath and not manipulating it in any way. We control and manipulate enough things. Trusting the abundant wisdom in your body to breathe just right. Just observing rather than controlling the breath. This is how mindfulness becomes a prayer, releasing control and just receiving. And it feels so good to just let go of all control and just receive. Receiving the sensations of what the breath feels like. Perhaps you might notice how the breath expands the chest on the inhale and falls away on the exhale, sensing how the chest lifts and falls away with each breath. Tracking as best you can the entire cycle of the breath. The start of one breath, the inhale and the exhale, the end or the flow of one breath into the next. Labeling your thoughts that come up. Is your mind pondering the past or future? Is there desire or aversion? Maybe there's sleeplessness or sleepiness or doubt. Maybe you have restlessness or worry. Seeing the mind for what it is, without judgment. We're creating that point of choice. Thoughts or breath? I choose breath. Simply tracking the sensations of each inhale and exhale. Allow yourself to get as close as you can to the sensation of your breath. Using the awareness of the breath as your anchor to the present moment. Noticing this breath right here. Noticing this breath here. Noticing each breath as it develops, allowing any tension in the body that isn't needed to be released with each exhale, yet allowing any tension that remains to be just as it is. Where is your attention now? Where does it go during the quiet moments? What types of distractions affect you the most? Sensations like sound, feelings in the body, thoughts or emotions? What distractions affect you the most? Each time you notice that your mind has wandered off, you are doing the practice just right. That is your moment of mindfulness, a celebration of accomplishment. Gently, with loving kindness toward the self, bringing your awareness back to the breath, sensing how the chest lifts or expands on the inhale, falls away on the exhale. Noticing the wandering mind is a victory. It's mindfulness in action. This lifting and falling away of the breath is completely familiar. It's a reliable anchor to the present moment, right here, right now, this breath. Allowing yourself the space to be just as you are, breathing in and breathing out, right here in this moment. And we'll begin to close the meditation today. And I want you, before you open your eyes, to just notice, set the intention to notice that what the mind is doing once you start to know it's the end of the meditation, once you open your eyes, just noticing the thoughts all come rushing in. There's a desire or need to move in some kind of way. And go ahead and open your eyes and just reflect on that experience. Reflect on how that felt for you. Reflect on the judgments, right and wrong, or good or bad. Remember to have a beginner's mind with each practice. Each practice is new to you, and every day. And remember that we don't have to have a formal moment of mindfulness to experience mindfulness. We sat down and we just did a formal mindfulness practice, but that's not necessary. Throughout our day, we can focus on our breath as we're walking from here to there, or between our meeting or call and doing other work, or whatever it is, right? Allowing yourself the space to just be as you are, this is the miracle, the healing miracle of mindfulness. It is transformational. It's massively healing. It's why mindfulness is taking off as a movement around the world, is because of the healing effects that happen when we can allow ourselves the space to be just as we are, right? All right, we're going to wrap it up a little bit. We're going to look at our self-empowerment opportunity, right? I think it's on the back side of your page, or the second page. We have some blanks to fill in. Looking at your practice now, maybe you want to increase it by 2 minutes or 5 minutes this week, and you can write that down there. I will gift myself blank minutes of meditation daily, and possibly increase my meditation time by however many minutes, at least once this week. And maybe if you notice that last week you were being perfectionistic and going for 15 or 20 minutes, maybe your gift to yourself is to go down to 30 seconds or 2 minutes, or whatever feels good for you. The next one says, the resources I gift to myself, I receive in turn from the universe, the Great Spirit. Resources, we talked about the resource of time. If I gift myself time, I receive those in turn. That's that manifestation aspect of mindfulness, right? So we had the body scan last time, and so we want to continue to do the body scan meditation 1 or more times each week in place of our regular meditation. On every sheet it says, my meditation journey will not always be easy, but I'm not alone. And like I said earlier, I am right here. I'm struggling with the same issues as you. I'll drop my practice for a little while. I'll come back to it. I'll struggle with parts of it. It's the same for practitioners for 3,000 years since mindfulness originated, right? And look at that list there. How can I improve my meditation practice this week? Pick one. Don't be a perfectionist. Pick one, just one. Okay. Remember, mindfulness only works if you work it. You can commit and be accountable, right? And we don't want to intellectualize. We want to just be in the practice of it. And we want to at least be doing, 5 to 10 minutes a day or working toward that, right? All right. This has been Mindfulness, Meditation, and Manifesting with Jenna Allen, always helping you to embody your divine inner warrior. We all have an innate inner healer and master manifester within us. And with this class, we are learning to embody this aspect of ourselves to bring peace and healing and new levels of success to our lives. I work with my clients to help them heal and resolve issues that keep them from living embodied, from living in the present moment. Because we all have triggers that keep us spinning in the mind space rather than able to feel our intuition, respond with tact and skill and inner wisdom, right? I help my clients define their sacred purpose and live according to their divine assignment. Sovereignty is our freedom to be who we are in any moment. And the mind, it is our self-governance. We can only truly embody our sovereignty if our mind isn't caught in past reactions, responses, and sabotaging patterns, those habits of the mind, right? So feel free to reach out, message me. I have a free 30-minute sample Soul Warrior session. And you can reach out to me at any of these places. At the time of this recording, my website is still under construction, so you may not find that there, as well as my Facebook page. But all I want you to know is that you can keep meditating. I want you to be well. And thank you for tuning in. Until next time.